Camera number 350 of 365 is the Konica Autoreflex T3, regarded at the time as Konica's professional camera, or a camera for professionals. And certainly it's a substantial camera, quite heavy, clearly metal construction there, and does require a battery to operate. So let's just put a battery inside the camera here. So here are the two LR44 batteries. Now when I say it requires batteries to operate, perhaps I should to correct that slightly, because batteries are actually only needed for the light meter. It is a manual camera. The shutter speeds can be operated manually. So just a correction there for what I just said. Right, so eventually got the batteries enclosed in the battery compartment. While we're on the base, we have our tripod mount, and then we have the little lever that disengages the film advance, so we can rewind our film into our camera. So with the batteries in now, the light meter works, but as I say, the camera can be used in manual mode. The mount is the Konica mount 2, apparently, and we take the lens off by pressing in this little lever here and then rotating. The lens I've got here is a Konica 50mm 1.7 lens that came with the camera. It's in quite good condition, I must say, quite pleased with it. It does seem quite sharp from what I can observe. So then looking at the front of the camera, we have our little lever that does also provide us with a preview button, but also when we want our self-timer, we have to press the button in and wind it out away from the lens, and then there we go. We actuate the shutter. Notice the mirror slides out of the way. I haven't actually used the self-timer, so I'm not quite sure. I just need a little bit of encouragement. There we go. See why I didn't use it. But I did use the little lever to stop down, which is quite nice. So let's just put the lens back on if we can. Now notice the lens has an EE, automatic eye I think they called it, and so when the lens is set to that, the camera really takes on the persona of a shutter priority camera. So we change our shutter speed and the camera will change the aperture. Looking through the viewfinder, you do get a readout of the apertures. The manual is quite complicated in trying to explain the different parts of the scale there. That there's like an overexposure, underexposure. There's a bit for the battery check, which we can show in a minute. But it is quite fairly straightforward in the sense that there's apertures along the side, and then we change our shutter speed, and the camera will respond. Alternatively, we can take it off the E, and then the camera will have a metered manual mode, as it were. So we can either again do shutter priority if we prefer. So we set our aperture, and then we make sure that when the needle hits that aperture, then we've got the correct shutter speed. Or conversely, if we set the shutter speed, make sure that we move our aperture to the point at which the camera has actually said. I hope that's clear. A little lever underneath the shutter speed, which goes from 1000 down to bulb. We can lift the crank and or the lever, the dial rather, and select our film speeds. And below that, we have a dedicated lever that will allow us to do multiple exposures. So that's a nice inclusion. On and off. Off actually also locks the shutter button, but we also have an additional point just below off, C, which is battery check. So we can check our batteries and it automatically goes to off, and then we just turn the camera on. I don't know that it makes any difference if we have it off, whether we can, Oh, that's interesting. Yes, we have to turn it on, of course, don't we? Because it locks the shutter button. Okay, film advance and film counter, hot shoe, film memo. Now, interestingly, and also, sorry, around the side here are little ports depending on what flash we're using. We open our film chamber with the little lever there, and we don't lift our film rewind crank. It doesn't actually lift, but there's a little cutout here that allows us to slip our cartridge in and then put it over, and there we go. A little bit of advertising there. Sakura color. Interesting. There we go. So that's pretty much it. A quick review of the T3. I must say I'm quite impressed by it. I have yet still to I've only just shot one image, so I'd like to shoot a few more. So let me see if I can do that. But that's it really. Konica Autoreflex T3, camera number 350 of 365.